Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, I am so glad you found this video, and please go ahead and subscribe because if you love BTS content and you love Jimin content specifically, this channel is going to be exactly where you want to be. Now, today we are talking about something that genuinely had the internet moving in multiple directions at the same time, because what happened when BTS arrived in Brussels for the European leg of the Arirang World Tour was not one big moment. It was not two big moments. It was three distinct, separate, simultaneously viral things that all happened because of one person, and that person was Jimin. So buckle up, because we are covering all of it today. Let's start with the context, because I think it matters for understanding why Brussels specifically hit the way it did. BTS is scheduled to perform at King Baudouin Stadium in Brussels on July 1st and July 2nd, 2026, marking the group's first concerts ever in Belgium. Read that again. First concerts ever in Belgium. Not just the first concerts of this tour cycle, not the first concerts since the military service hiatus, the first BTS concerts in the entire history of this group ever to take place on Belgian soil. The biggest K-pop world tour ever was bringing them to Belgium for the very first time. So before a single note was even played, before Jimin had even set foot on the King Baudouin Stadium stage, Brussels was already a historically significant stop. Belgium had been waiting for this moment for years, for over a decade, in fact, across the entire span of BTS's career. An army in Belgium and across neighboring countries in Western Europe had been preparing for this moment with the same intensity that army prepares for every first ever stop on any BTS tour. Now add to that context everything that had already happened in the European leg before Brussels. BTS had just come off two historic nights in Madrid, the first ever BTS concerts in Spain, held at the Riyadh Air Metropolitano, home of Atlético de Madrid. Those nights had already generated global headlines for multiple reasons: the emotional weight of BTS finally performing in Spain, Jimin's heartfelt promise to return on the next tour, and, as anyone following this channel already knows, Suga's jaw-dropping moment wearing Atlético Madrid's unreleased 2026-27 home kit on stage before the club had officially revealed it to the public. Madrid had been, by every metric, an enormous moment in this tour. Brussels was the very next stop. The energy that had been building since Madrid, the excitement, the momentum, the sense that this European leg was delivering genuinely historic moments at every city, all of that arrived in Belgium with BTS when they landed. And fans could feel it. The King Baudouin Stadium pop-up merchandise line started forming early. Army from across Belgium, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, France, and Germany made their way to Brussels. The city had a purple energy to it even before the concerts began. And then, before the shows even started, the internet got its first Jimin-related Brussels moment, and it was not even from the concert. On June 29, 2026, BTS's J-Hope posted a photo on his Instagram story showing Jimin lying on top of Jungkook while the two rested together in a seat on a private jet, as the group traveled to Belgium for the next dates on their Arirang World Tour. The image spread quickly among fans online, with the comment sections erupting in joy. People called it peak BTS chaos. Someone pointed out that J-Hope had added text over the photo specifically to maintain some decency in the image. And within hours, the photo had generated its own trending moment. Even the travel to Brussels was generating content. That is the level of cultural presence this group operates at during a world tour. But that was just the warm-up. Because when the actual concerts began, Jimin walked onto the King Baudouin Stadium stage and gave the internet three completely separate reasons to lose its mind in the span of a single night. Let's talk about the first one, and honestly the one that set the tone for everything else: the hair and the accessories. If you have been following the Arirang World Tour even casually, you already know that Jimin's hair has been one of the defining visual storylines of this entire tour. It started back in March 2026, when Jimin first introduced his long blonde hair during BTS's comeback live performance at Gwanghwamun Square, earning him playful nicknames from fans including Lion Jimin. The hair was already significant before the tour even began. It was a statement, a visual declaration that this era of Jimin was going to look different, feel different, and present differently than anything fans had seen from him before. Then the tour started, and the hair kept evolving. By the Tokyo Dome dates in April, Jimin's blonde hair had extended beyond shoulder length, reaching his upper back, while some front layers remained shorter and framed his face. The change in styling quickly became viral across social media platforms, especially on X. Fans started calling him Rapunzelman. The internet could not get enough of seeing how the hair looked under different stage lighting, in different outfit combinations, at different angles captured by different fan cameras across the enormous 360-degree stage setup. And then came Las Vegas, and the moment that truly launched Jimin's hair into a different stratosphere of cultural conversation. During the opening night of BTS's Las Vegas concert at Allegiant Stadium on May 23, Jimin appeared on stage with his long blonde hair partially braided, creating one of the tour's most talked about looks. The style quickly gained traction online, with Jimin braids trending across social media platforms. But it did not stop at just trending within fan communities. On Al Rojo Vivo, a news program by Telemundo, the United States' largest Spanish-language broadcaster anchor Lord Steven paid homage to Jimin's look by adopting the same hairstyle with his song "Who" playing as background music. When a mainstream television news anchor is replicating your hairstyle on air, you have officially crossed into cultural territory that goes far beyond any single fandom. The hashtag Jimin braids shot straight to the #1 trending spot on X in the United States. Fancam videos capturing that moment racked up over 1 million views within just the first few hours. TikTok challenge videos imitating the look spread across the platform. People who had never watched a BTS concert in their lives were suddenly searching to find out who this person was with the long blonde braids that their entire algorithm was suddenly showing them. And what made the Brussels moment so significant was that the hair story continued to evolve. By the time Jimin arrived in Belgium, fans who had been tracking every variation of his look across every tour stop were primed and ready to react to whatever new version he was going to present on the King Baudouin Stadium stage. The anticipation around Jimin's visual presentation at each new city had become its own event within the larger event of the concert itself. Before the show started, dedicated fan accounts were already speculating, what would the Brussels version of the look be? Would there be new accessories? A different braided style? A completely new approach to the iconic blonde hair that had defined this entire era? And when Jimin stepped out and fans saw the answer, the long blonde hair styled with accessories woven into it, creating a look that fan after fan described in their posts as the most striking visual of the entire tour so far, the reaction was immediate and enormous. The comparison that kept appearing in fan posts and comments was Greek god. Multiple fans independently landed on the same description. There was something about the combination of the flowing blonde hair, the accessories detailing, the black stage costume he was wearing, and the way the stadium lighting caught the whole look together that gave Jimin an almost mythological visual presence on that stage. One viral TikTok caption that circulated widely read simply, "This Jimin hairstyle will go down in history." And the engagement numbers on posts about the look backed that up. Jimin captivated audiences with a charismatic stage presence that combined visual impact with performance intensity. But in Brussels, the visual element took on a particular life of its own because of how perfectly the hair and accessories landed within the overall aesthetic of the outfit and the stage environment. Fancam footage spread across social platforms within hours of the concert, and the comments sections were full of people, both longtime ARMY and people who were encountering this for the first time, saying variations of the same thing, that they had never seen anyone look quite like this on a concert stage before. Now let's talk about the second thing that sent Brussels trending, because this one is about something beyond visuals, something that gets into Jimin's actual performance and what he does on stage that makes him one of the most compelling live performers in music right now. Throughout the Arirang World Tour, one of the recurring highlights that fans have documented and shared across every city has been the body-to-body freestyle dance segment. This is a moment built into the show where Jimin gets to move completely freely, not following choreography, not hitting specific marks, just responding to the music in real time and letting his training and his instincts take over. And at every single stop on this tour, the freestyle has generated its own viral moment because what Jimin does in that space is genuinely extraordinary to watch. During the body-to-body freestyle dance, Jimin performed a two-spin in a sensual groove that thrilled the audience. In Brussels, the combination of the visual impact of the hair and accessories with the freestyle performance created something that fan accounts described as almost overwhelming to experience in person. People who were in the stadium that night described the moment as one of those rare concert experiences where you forget you are in a crowd of tens of thousands of people and you feel like the performance is happening specifically for you. That kind of intimacy at stadium scale is something that Jimin has consistently been praised for across his entire career, but in Brussels, with everything else that was happening visually and musically simultaneously, it hit with particular force. The posts about the Brussels performance used words like divine, otherworldly, once in a lifetime. And while fans always use enthusiastic language about BTS performances, there was something specific and repeated about the Brussels reaction that went beyond normal concert excitement. People who had attended multiple stops on the tour were saying that the Brussels show felt different, that there was an electricity in the stadium and a quality to Jimin's performance that made it stand out even among a tour full of extraordinary nights. And that brings us to the third thing that made Brussels trend, and this one is going to hit especially hard if you have been with BTS for any significant amount of time, because this one is about memory and nostalgia and the kind of song that carries years of shared history between a group and their fans. Every BTS concert on the Arirang World Tour includes 2 surprise songs per night, songs that are not part of the standard setlist and that change from city to city and from night to night. The selection of surprise songs has become one of the most anticipated elements of the show for fans who follow the tour closely, because you never know what you are going to get. It could be a deep album cut that only dedicated longtime fans know every word to. It could be an early career track that brings older ARMY right back to the beginning. It could be a massive hit that the general crowd loses their mind over. The anticipation and the reaction to surprise songs has generated some of the most emotional fan-shared content of the entire tour. In Brussels, on the second night of the Belgian run, the crowd got something that made the internet erupt almost immediately after the songs started being performed. The surprise song, confirmed across multiple fan TikToks from attendees who were in the stadium, was Boy With Love. And if you know BTS history, you know exactly why that choice generated the reaction it did. Boy With Love is one of the most significant songs in BTS's entire discography. Released in April 2019 featuring Halsey, it was the lead single from the Map of the Soul, Persona album, and it arrived at a moment when BTS was in the absolute peak of their first massive global wave. The music video for the song set YouTube viewing records. The performances of the song, including on Saturday Night Live, which was a landmark moment for the group's mainstream American recognition, became cultural touchstones. For ARMY who have been around since that era, Boy With Love carries the emotional weight of a specific time in BTS's history, a specific feeling of joy and lightness and connection that defined the group at a very particular moment in their journey. And then BTS went on hiatus. Then came the military service. Then came years of waiting and solo projects and the slow, patient work of bringing the group back together. And now here they are, all 7 members, on the biggest tour of their career, performing in Belgium for the first time, and they choose that night to bring out Boy With Love as a surprise song. The symbolism of it is almost too perfect to be accidental. A song about the simple, uncomplicated joy of love, delivered in a country and a city that was experiencing BTS for the first time ever, by a complete 7-member group reunited after years apart. Fan TikToks from inside the King Baudouin Stadium captured the moment the song began. The crowd reaction, the screaming, the crying, the people grabbing each other's arms in disbelief, was the kind of raw emotional response that you cannot manufacture and you cannot predict. It just happens when the right song meets the right moment meets the right crowd. And in Brussels, all 3 of those things aligned perfectly. The clip that circulated most widely was posted by a fan account under the handle Melanthestreet, with the caption translating roughly to, "We got Boy With Love as the second surprise song." The comments on that TikTok filled immediately. People who were in the stadium describing the moment. People watching from home expressing the vicarious joy that ARMY across the world feels when they see their community getting a moment like this. People who had been at other tour stops saying that Brussels had just gotten one of the best surprise song choices of the entire European leg. Within hours of the Brussels concert ending, all 3 elements, the hair and accessories, the Greek god visual impact of Jimin's overall stage presence, and the Boy With Love surprise song moment, were trending simultaneously across multiple social media platforms. Not one at a time. All 3, in the same window, feeding off each other's momentum. Every clip of Jimin's hair led to clips of the freestyle performance. Every clip of the freestyle performance led to reactions to Boy With Love. Every Boy With Love reaction led back to the overall energy of the Brussels show and the visual impact of Jimin's look. It was a perfect storm of content, and it played out across TikTok, X, Instagram, and fan community spaces with the velocity and reach that only a BTS moment can generate. Now let's zoom out and talk about what this Brussels triple moment actually means in the context of the broader tour, because I think there is something worth understanding here about how Jimin specifically has functioned as a creative and cultural force during this entire tour cycle. From the very first night in Goyang in April, Jimin has been one of the primary visual and performance focal points of every conversation about the Arirang World Tour. His hair evolution alone has generated consistent media coverage and viral content across every major stop. A senior executive from Big Hit Music revealed in an interview that keeping the long hair was Jimin's call. During a live broadcast, Jimin shared that when he chose to grow out his hair, he faced resistance from everyone, including his agency. Only his mother stood by him. That detail, the fact that Jimin fought for this look against institutional resistance, that his mother was the only one who supported the decision, that he committed to it anyway and then proceeded to have that decision validated by the global reaction to his appearance on stage, tells you something very important about who Jimin is as an artist. He makes decisions from a creative place, not from a strategic place. He grows his hair out because he wants to, because it feels right for where he is artistically, not because a focus group told a marketing team that it would generate social media engagement. And then the engagement comes anyway, because authenticity has a way of generating exactly that kind of response when it shows up in public. People can feel when something is real versus when something is manufactured. And Jimin's visual evolution throughout this tour, every new variation on the blonde hair, every accessories choice, every styling decision that has generated the next wave of fan reaction, has felt genuinely personal and genuinely his. It belongs to him. And that is exactly why it resonates the way it does. The Brussels moment took all of that authenticity and placed it inside a venue that was experiencing BTS for the absolute first time. Think about what that means for the people who were in that stadium. Belgian army who had followed this group for years, sometimes a decade or more, finally getting to experience a BTS concert in their own country. Not through a screen, not through someone else's video, but live, in person, in the same physical space as 7 people who had made a genuine difference in their lives. And the first time they got to experience that, Jimin gave them a look that is being called one of the most iconic of the entire tour, a freestyle performance that sent the stadium into collective disbelief, and a surprise song choice that connected the present moment of BTS's triumphant comeback with one of the most joyful chapters of their earlier history. That is a lot to happen in one night. And the fact that the internet registered all 3 things simultaneously, that all 3 generated their own trending moment while also feeding into each other's momentum, is a reflection of just how completely Jimin delivered in Brussels. The Arirang World Tour has received critical acclaim, with Consequence writing that BTS manages to combine pop dominance on a massive scale with intimate, deeply cultural elements in a way that often feels right. Brussels was a perfect encapsulation of exactly that description. The scale was enormous at King Baudouin Stadium filled with fans who had waited years for this. The pop dominance was undeniable, Boy With Love landing as a surprise song in a crowd that erupted as though the song was brand new. And the intimacy was present in every frame of Jimin on that stage, a performer so fully himself, so committed to his own creative vision, so present in the moment, that 50,000 people in a stadium somehow felt like he was performing for each of them personally. This is the Arirang World Tour. This is what it looks like when BTS is operating at the peak of their powers, in cities that have never experienced them before, giving their absolute best night after night. And Brussels just gave us 3 different viral moments in a single evening to prove it. The tour continues next to London, then Munich, then Paris, before eventually making its way to other regions and ultimately concluding in Manila in March 2027. If Brussels is any indication, the remaining European stops have a lot to live up to. But also, if Brussels is any indication, the chances are very good that they will. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, leave a comment telling me which of the 3 Brussels moments hit you hardest. Was it the hair, the performance energy, or Boy With Love as the surprise song? I want to know. And please subscribe if you have not already, because there is so much more Arirang World Tour content coming to this channel as the tour keeps moving through Europe and beyond. I will see you in the next one.